Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to the patch. It is Saturday, June 20th, Father's Day. Instead of just taking you on a tour of the patch after I've done all the work for the day, figure I'd take you on my morning tour before I do the work and show you what I'm going to do today. Something else we're going to be doing today is putting these squash vine board traps out from Holland's Land of Giants. Great website to go out to if you're a giant pumpkin grower and get some quality products. These traps right here have been highly recommended by some other local growers I have. So basically we will put these things together, put this little top on them, hang them in our patch out here, and they have some attractant in there that'll bring in the squash vine borer moths, so I can at least monitor the moths, see how many I have, so I know to keep an eye out for the larva that'll be in the patch. Don't really have anything to hang them off of right now, so I'm gonna use a couple of these garden claws and just throw them in the ground, hang them off the handles here, you know, typical giant pumpkin patch fashion. Just use what you got to do what you can do to help your patch out. So let's get in there and take a look at what we've got going on this morning. Go ahead and make our way in here. First things first, let's check this pumpkin out. So this guy is 8 days after pollination. Looking for about 4.5 inches today. And right now this morning we're measuring about 4.25. But that's all right. We really don't want exceptional growth at the beginning. I've been learning a little bit about cell division and cell expansion on these plants, and the fruits in particular. So basically during the first 14 to 20 days here, we want to keep this pumpkin in cell division so that it creates as many cells as possible, so that when it goes into cell expansion, we'll end up with a bigger fruit at the end. But day 8 right now, it's looking pretty decent. There is one little scar on it back here that will continue to grow with the pumpkin, so we'll keep an eye on that. But you can kind of tell on the camera, it looks quite glossy, which is exactly what you want. These plants will, or the fruits will actually turn dull if they're to abort. I know that because last year I had quite a few of my pumpkins abort, or the pollination didn't even take. So right now this is looking great for what I expect out of it. And I'll take you on around over here. I'll have to look at my notes again, but this is either day 2 or 3 after pollination on this fruit here. And again, it's pretty much exactly what we expect. See the blossom in there? Still a little bit of green in it. These things will be very yellow at first before they turn orange later. So as we go around, there's quite a few male flowers in here that I'm going to get in with my little telescopic holder grabber tool that you might have seen a short about. And we'll get those cleaned up. Take a look at the vines that are growing out here. All these little females, just pick those right off. We don't want any more females on this plant. We want all the growth to go into the 2 that we've pollinated. So yesterday I wasn't able to get out here. So today we're going to go ahead and stake some more of these vines down, get them trained out. You'll notice a little bit of crinkling on some of these leaves on the end. So we've had a couple big rainstorms come through the past couple of days, and I got out here before the rainstorms, a day ahead, to try and get some Eagle on these, which is a anti-fungicide. Wanted to get that on the plants before the rain hit to help prevent any fungal and disease issues after the rain, because with more rain and more moisture comes more potential for issues like that. But I think I mixed the Eagle a little strong, And yeah, it caused some crinkling on these leaves, but they're still growing, so that is good. You can see down in here we have a lot more male flowers to get in and prune out of this plant. Let's go ahead, check our stump. Looking pretty girthy this morning. Pull our little protector off of it here, and that stump is looking pretty good. So put my thumb up next to it. I got average sized thumbs, I think. And oh, the stump there's probably about the size of a Red Bull can at the base. Gets a little bit smaller as it goes, but looking quite good. You can see in here we have a little bit of tertiary growth coming off of our secondary vines. We'll get in and prune those two tertiaries out. I got pretty fortunate with the rainstorms. A lot of people in my area got 3-4 inches of rain. We ended up with about an inch of rain. So that's just about right on what I want on my plant this week. And not too much rain that it waterlogged us out. Over here is a couple of those vines that rotated over on me. If I get you down in there, see we did have a little bit of a vine split, which has caused this secondary to be quite small, but it is starting to grow again. One next to it, kind of similar issues. I think there's a bottom vine split there. Some pretty small growth, but it is still growing. Meanwhile, the rest of these secondaries are just taking off. So again, just going around, inspecting the plant, seeing if there's anything I need to take a look at. Thought I just spotted a female. Yep, there's a little female out here on the tip that we will pick off. So just going around collecting females, all these potential pumpkins that I don't want. Now, I've been pretty fortunate with insects too. Out here using my imidacloprid every few weeks. Again, you can kind of see the crinkling that I've got going on these leaves from where I did that heavy dose of Eagle. But I think they'll be just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get in here, do some work. Maybe set up a little time lapse for you, what we got going on. And get those squash vine borer traps out here. But man, it is just a sea of green. And just another thing to note, these bamboo sticks that I put out have been working great. I also used a tip from Shannon Engel. So Shannon, if you see this, I appreciate you. I got some coat hangers and used those to kind of staple down my vines in a few different places along all my secondary nodes. So that helps get the node down into the ground so that it'll start rooting quicker, but also has helped prevent any further wind damage, these vines getting knocked over. So I'm gonna get in here and do some vine training. You can see most of the vines have grown away from my little bamboo sticks that I've stuck in there. And we need to go ahead and do some vine training. And then I am deciding at what point I'm gonna terminate my main vine here and start taking these secondaries and kind of looping them, waterfalling them back towards the front of my patch again. But at some point, I do need to terminate this main vine so that all of my growth starts going into these fruits. And with that, talk about cell division, cell expansion. I'm probably gonna end up waiting till day 14 to day 20 before I start fertilizing these plants again and really pushing some phosphorus and some potassium, which I've heard will help the walls thicken up, which will hopefully help prevent some splitting and also help produce a plant that is over the chart. So we have a chart that we can take measurements on these fruits, and it'll kind of give us an estimate of weight. and everybody always tries to get their fruits over the chart, a certain percentage heavy, if you will. Let me set the camera up here, start getting to work. Alright, so slight change in plans. I'm actually going to wait to do vine training until later in the day. Hopefully we get some sun to come out, heat these plants up and help them make them a little more pliable. The first vine that I started to try to train back there felt very stiff. I think I might have heard a little crack, which is no good. So we're going to put a pause on that. Let's go ahead and get these squash vine board traps set up and get those placed out here at least. That way we can do something this morning. And then I'll come back later this afternoon maybe and try to do some vine training with you guys. I think this will do. I got 2 of them, so I went ahead and placed one back here by my stump where I can easily access it. And then the other one, I'm always going to have access to my fruit. And I have this center post out here that I can kind of climb around on these boards and walk on. So fruit's right there. Got another one set up right here, just about leaf level. So hopefully these things work, and I'll bring you back in the next week or 2 and check them out, see if we got any squash vine borers in there. So far I have just found one on one of my leaves out here, and because of the imidacloprid it was already dead. The larva itself will actually burrow into the vine, and you can look around your nodes especially, but anywhere on the vine, and you'll kind of see what I've seen some people refer to as SVB poop, but it'll be these little white dots on top of the vine. Now whether that's poop or it's just some of the vine material that they've pushed out of the hole when they burrow into it, hence squash vine borer, that's one way you can kind of keep an eye out for them. But I've inspected my vines quite often, and so far I've not seen any of that, so I think I'm good right now. But just again, a nice preventative measure, because when you're growing giant pumpkins, you don't want to respond to issues, you want to try to prevent them. So this is just another way we're trying to prevent another issue for our plant. All right, it's a couple hours later, the sun has come out. A little dusty now because I sanded some shelves for my wife, but we'll get the tripod set back up. Heat has now hopefully made these vines a little more pliable. We're going to get in there and do some vine training and probably clear out some of these male flowers. So let's go. And just like that, we gotta do a little bit of work. Now it's decided to rain, so let's get this camera out of here. We'll come back later. During that, unfortunately, had a couple of vines that had snaps in them. One I had to cut completely off. A couple of them I staked back down, trying to piece them together basically, see if they'll heal over. And then you'll notice too that I took all my male flowers and just basically I throw everything over the fence. When I get done, I walk around the exterior of the fence line,
pick everything up and throw it in the compost pile. But I had someone asking me, why do you do that? Why do you cut off all the male flowers? I actually had quite a few people on the shorts I've been posting asking why I do that. So there's a few different reasons. One, when those flowers start to rot, you don't want the rot to infect the rest of your plant, get into the main vine. That can happen very easily. Number two is that it attracts other insects that are going to bring disease to your plant. Again, we want to prevent things as much as we can, so we get those flowers out of there. We prevent those insects from ever being in our patch so that they don't bring those diseases with them. And the third reason is to save the honeybees. So when I use imidacloprid on this, it is a systematic insecticide, or a systemic insecticide rather. And that imidacloprid, the way it works is when anything that bites, chews, eats any part of the plant, it immediately kills that bug. So if that bee were to ingest some of the pollen from one of my flowers, it would kill the bees. So it's important that you get out here as soon as you can, as often as you can, and you get all those male flowers out of there if you're using something like imidacloprid. At least if you care about the honeybees in your area, which you should. Hopefully later we'll get back out here, finish what we were doing in the garden. Spoiler alert, we did not make it back out that day. And over the next couple weeks, we got probably 6 inches of rain. Well, about a week and a half now. So today is July 2nd. Had a few things happen. So a bunch of rain. For whatever reason, my vines were getting pretty brittle. They were cobra heading up a lot, and I lost a lot of secondaries. Besides that, my main vine snapped off, and the second pumpkin I had pollinated on it was quite underperforming anyways. So we went ahead and deadheaded the main vine all the way back to the first pumpkin that we had pollinated. And fortunately, things are going well. Today we are 20 days after pollination. In that last video, I believe it was 8 days after pollination. Actually, the earlier part of this video. So I'm going to turn the camera around here and show you what we've got. I'm pretty proud of this. This is 20 days after pollination. So we just took a weight on this bad boy, which you do a couple different measurements over the top and the circumference of it. Then you can cross that with a chart. And we came out at 165 inches, which is equal to 107 pounds. So 20 days in, we're at 107 pounds. We started switching up the fertilizer program, applying some more phosphorus and potassium to these plants with a foliar spray yesterday. And hopefully the weight on this really starts pushing. It's been amazing to watch it the past few days just kind of explode with growth. You look at this stem back here, it's about the size of a pop can right now. That is a 4-inch vent fan next to it that I have blowing on the stem where we cut the main vine, just keeping things dry. Have another fan over here that I set up on the blossom end of it to keep the blossom nice and dry. And then we have a couple pillowcases here that we put over the top of it to keep it from getting sunburnt and basically ripening too soon. So fingers crossed that we can keep this thing from cracking and keep it alive for the next almost 4 months, about 3 months and 3 weeks to get it to the Circleville Pumpkin Show. Past couple days we've been dealing with near record highs here in Ohio. Extreme heat, 95 degrees. So for that reason, I have this impact sprinkler out here. Unfortunately, did not have time to get it hooked up to my rain barrel. So I'm using city water, which is high in pH in my area. It's not the most ideal solution, but it's at least keeping some moisture on these plants to keep them from burning and to keep this pumpkin cool. So as you can see, there's some secondary loss here. Otherwise this whole area would have been filled in. A couple of these secondaries are starting to pick up the slack. I need to get in here and prune out some of these vines and also take care of this weed issue I have going on. Get some more of these flowers out of here. I've not been using imidacloprid with all of the rain recently, but that is something that I need to get back to doing. And over here on the other side, these are actually some tertiaries that I have growing off of one of my secondaries, because a lot of these secondaries I had to cut short, and then what I had filled in up here by this post were secondaries that were past that first pumpkin going towards the second pumpkin. So I have quite a bit of patch out here that last year I was able to fill by this time, but I also wasn't able to get a fruit to set. So the fact that I have a fruit on the vine is awesome. You can see there's some other tertiaries kind of poking up through the canopy here in a couple different spots. I'll reach in there with my pruner tool and pull those out, just to try to keep things from getting choked off in this plant. But I would have to say, for my second year growing, getting a 100 plus pound pumpkin by day 20 is awesome. So over the top, side to side, was 48 inches, 4 foot each. The circumference of this pumpkin right now is 5 foot 9 inches. So hopefully, this is a 4 foot by 5 foot platform that I've put it on. This is something that Liggett and a couple of the other guys have come up with in the Circleville area. They use a couple of 2-inch PVC pipes underneath the platform. Platform consists of a layer of plywood and foam that has holes drilled through it so that water can drain through it, keeping the bottom of the pumpkin dry, and then just covering it with some fabric here to help keep things flat and nice. So as time goes on, this pumpkin will grow, and I'll need to reposition it a couple of times, so I can just attach to this board, pull it, stretch it as need be, and kind of reposition the pumpkin. With that being said, this board is 4 foot deep right now, 5 foot wide, and I'm really hoping that I outgrow this board. That would be awesome. If I was able to do that, then I have a true contender for the pumpkin show. But main thing is just trying to make it the distance. So 3 months, 3 weeks, all the way to October 21st. It's quite an ask for a second year grower, but it's a challenge I'm up to. And if you guys, again, have any recommendations on how I can get there, something you might notice in my patch that I need to do to help myself out, some program that I'm lacking on, please let me know, because right now I am basking in the glory, but really hoping things don't fall apart. So sorry for such a long update, guys, and that I kept you on your toes, but I appreciate you sticking in there with me if you made it all the way to the end of the video here. So go ahead, if you did, give me a follow, give me a like, tell me how awesome I'm doing out here, because I know. But anyways, until next time, grown big.